Welcome everyone to a session called Drive Media Insights using AI. My name is Darren Shapiro. I work for Microsoft in a group called Black Belts, focusing on media and media analytics. And what I'm going to talk about today is how you can extract insights and analytics from your video content, and how some of our customers have used that to support various scenarios with that metadata. So if you think about the change that has come in recent years in the video and media landscape, we've kind of gone from a world where media is mass-produced, typically professionally produced content, but it's mass-produced for everybody, and everybody pretty much has the same content. That's been the case with TV, radio, and print. And we've kind of transitioned to a world where content is personalized and interactive, but mostly mobile and on demand. Some of that's user-generated, not all of it is professional content, and it's pretty much anytime, anywhere content. There's another sort of sea change in the media landscape that's coming that is based off of applying artificial intelligence to that media content, and it's becoming quite a game changer in the same way that internet delivery of content changed the media landscape. And this chart simply talks about how dramatically global IP traffic is growing, and at the same time, video is increasing its share of that global IP traffic. Going back to 2016, the total volume was expected to more than triple, whereas video itself is going from 51% to 67%. So video itself is just a massive and growing percentage of internet traffic. And as that traffic grows and becomes almost overwhelming in the volume of content, AI is becoming the game changer to derive insights from that content, make it more discoverable, make various scenarios now supported because of the insights you can gain from the video content itself. So we're going to talk about Microsoft Video Indexer, which is a Microsoft product that extracts this insight from your video and audio content. So Video Indexer itself extracts content from audio and video files using artificial intelligent machine learning models. It's built on top of other Azure services as well. Maybe you've heard of Azure Media Services, Azure Search, and our cognitive services. And it's available both as a platform in a way that you can build solutions on top of it, as well as a service where there's both a website and embeddable UI widgets that you could integrate into your application. There is a free trial. So I have a link towards the end, but video.ai is the website. You can go, and using this website, you can upload video, view the metadata that's being extracted, and you can do that for free to try it out. So let's talk a little bit about the feature set. So I mentioned video AI and insights. What does that really mean? As Video Indexer is a bundling of a couple dozen services, you can see across the range of audio, video, audio and visual content, there's just an enormous amount of insight that you can derive. So for audio, you've got automatic transcription and captioning, so taking what was spoken in a video, creating caption files. We can further take those and translate them into one of 70 different languages. We can detect the language that's being spoken in your video, so if it's a video in Spanish or German, we can correctly transcribe that without you telling us what language it's in. And a whole host of other audio processing technologies that do things such as improve the quality of call center or telephony type content. It does things by splitting the channels, so if you think of a recording of a call center, you've got an agent talking and you've got a customer talking. So we split those up, we transcribe both of those, and then we put them together so it matches a single timeline. And a few other features for processing audio. On the visual side, you have everything from visual text, which is basically OCR, whether it's an overlay on the screen or a PowerPoint slide that's being filmed, street signs, what have you. We will apply OCR to it, and just like everything else that you'll see here, it's aligned to time codes. So ultimately, the ultimate purpose in all of this is so that you could, by the data that's extracted, you could find that specific moment in a video where a PowerPoint deck was on screen or something along those lines. Another real common use case for Video Indexer and some powerful models center around face detection and face identification. So the first thing we'll do is we'll recognize all the faces in a video and then attempt to identify that face. We have a celebrity database, which is essentially about a million plus faces that are determined by the internet to be famous. They could be actors, they could be business people, politicians, athletes, or even they could be infamous for some reason. But if they're popular on the internet, we have a database that we will try to match those faces to. But in many cases, the people that you want to correlate to your video might be your employees or somebody who's not internet famous. So if they're not recognized in the celebrity database, you have your own private facial recognition database where you can essentially give a name to a face that isn't recognized. And what we do under the covers is we extract all those images of that face. We apply some processing to pick out which images will do the best job of training the model. We'll train a private face model. And when I say private, I mean it's private to you, to your subscription. It's not shared with Microsoft or shared with any other customers. But at that point, once you've trained them, either previous or subsequent videos that that person appears in, there's a much greater chance or likelihood that that face will be recognized. Many others, so content moderation. Think of scenarios with user-generated content where you might need to flag some content because of nudity or something along those lines. Object detection is the type of algorithm that will tell you there's a man on a beanbag indoors with a lamp and a chair behind him, that type of stuff. Something that's common in a lot of cases is shot and scene detection. So for various reasons, you might want to correlate, say, ads to be based off of something in the scene. So maybe maybe it was a scene in a sports stadium, and you want to have an ad break, but you don't want to break it right in the middle of the scene. Having knowledge of when the scene and shots change within it would help you in targeting ads or highlight or creating automated hit reels and so forth. Another aspect of the audio, it's down here, so I didn't talk about it earlier, but an important part of creating transcriptions and captions is not just knowing what was said and transcribing it, but knowing who said it. So speaker indexing is the concept that if you're looking at a transcription of a video, speaker 1 said this statement, speaker 2 said this statement, and when you know who is in the video by way of facial recognition, you could also associate who said what with the people that appeared in the video as well. And there's a handful of others, some more technical, like extracting keyframes or black frames, knowing when to break. But down here in the blue are some additional services as well. So these were all the models and the sort of AI types of insight. But in the blue are all the features that are provided by Video Indexer. So inline editing. So if you want to take a clip and pull out sections of it and create a highlight reel or a subclip, it provides that. And when you do that clipping, it stitches together all the insights as well as part of that clip. So the captions that were part of that section and everything else that was found. Translation is huge. You can translate what was spoken it can transcribe that into 10 languages. But from that, we can translate that into another high 60, I think maybe 70 odd languages. And that's growing all the time. I think Klingon is a language that's been added. And then, so what are the use cases for having all of this metadata about your video? I would say at least 50% of the use cases that I talk to customers about is deep search, making content discoverable. You might have a library of content that's decades old that is essentially sitting on a shelf, getting no usage, and so primarily making content searchable by what was said, who was in it, what the topic of conversation was. Maybe, hey, what was that scene from the show I really liked where they were at the basketball court or something along those lines. It's unlocking those, those huge archives of content by making them deep searchable. And so there's a service provided by Video Indexer for search that will allow you to search across all these different dimensions of metadata. Also, well, I'm going to show you Video Indexer here in a minute, but it's also composed of widgets, so you can build your own solutions by taking some of these UI widgets that will display captions, be a player, and show all the different insights, embed that into your application. And so this slide is a couple weeks old, and the risk of showing slides in Azure where they're more than a day old is the topics inferencing it was added in the past week or so. And emotions, I'll show you in a minute, emotions is part of it as well. So sentiment analysis, I'm sure most people are familiar with, is kind of processing text and determining whether it was mostly positive, negative, or neutral. We've added a new dimension to that, which is the vocal tonality of the person speaking it to derive an aggregate emotion. And kind of the next step of that is looking at the emotion on their face. Are they happy? Are they smiling? Are they scowling? And what have you. And all of this, even though I'm going to show you Video Indexer, I'm going to show you a website, all of this is available through an API. So you could call the API, submit a video to it, and receive back the results that contains the output of all of these models in essentially 2 API calls. So let me switch here, and I'm going to go through a quick demo. So Video Indexer, which is available, video.ai. I've uploaded a few videos here as samples. And so, I mean, while this is a fairly small library and searching across it might not be overly, well, I'll come back to search because we'll see some terms. But essentially, if I take one of the videos that I've previously uploaded to Video Indexer and it's processed, what you find here is, let me just pause that as soon as it starts, a visualization of all of the different metadata models that I was just describing. And the best way to think of this website is it's kind of an art of the possible, or a reference application of how you could visualize and create experiences with all these various forms of metadata that you can derive from your audio and video content. So while I've paused the video here, you can see on this first panel people that were detected in the video. So for example, if we click on her, it's showing where she appears in the video. So if I jump to that next spot, it goes right to her. And some of these faces you can see have a name, and some of them might not. And as I was saying, there's the celebrity database and your private database. If I knew who this person is, and let's jump to it to stop, I could apply a name to it, and let's say, I'm not sure who this person is, but let's just say John Doe. You gave that person a name, but what we did in the background was we extracted all the frames that person appeared in this video. We've analyzed all those frames to try to find the most distinct versions of that face, and then we've trained your private face database with those images. And so what will happen is both subsequently, and so all the videos that you upload next, and even the videos that you've previously processed, will have a very high likelihood of recognizing that person. I say very high likelihood because lighting, all different conditions can make it harder or easier for a face to be recognized, but the process is additive as well. So as you add more images, you can make that person much more recognizable to the system. So something that companies do is they start off with their HR records or the picture you have on your badge for internal corporate videos, and train it on that so that when you want to search for a sales video with Joe in it because he knows that particular product really well, you could find those videos even if they weren't necessarily listed in the description of the video. Some other things that you'll see here is keywords. So once we've transcribed the text to, once we transcribe voice to text, we've processed that text to pick out what are the important keywords. And interestingly enough, one of the features that I said was coming soon, it is already there. It's in the underlying JSON metadata, which I'll show you in a second. It's not being visualized in this website, but topic inferencing is taking all of these keywords and then deriving like what is the subject that they're talking about. So if someone, like the classic example on one of our documentation pages is a conversation about the planets. They mention Earth, they mention Mars, they mention Venus. They didn't say the word planets, they didn't say the word solar system. So the topics are the solar system, the planets, things like that. You could use that for, say you have a video that's talking, it's a sports commentators talking about baseball, another video about basketball. Neither of them mention the other, but because they're both sports, you could have them related from a recommended content perspective. If baseball fans want to watch basketball videos, I guess. Some more things here, which is, let me turn this edit off. So these keywords were from what was spoken. The labels is from what was seen. So for example, let's go to a tree. There's a tree, a car. So this is basically about what was seen in the video. So our object detection picked all these things up, lined it along time codes, and is able to give you the opportunity to jump to that section. This is the section I mentioned. It's just recently been added. It's emotions. It's combining the tonality of your voice to determine emotion. Here's keyframes. Really quickly, let me jump to the captions as well. So the captions of the video includes what was spoken, but also the OCR. You can kind of see in the type is different from what's OCR versus what was spoken. We could get that in any language, up to, like I said, nearly 70 languages, where not only is it transcribing all of the objects and captions, but also gives you the formatted caption file so that you can deliver it with your video, so that as it's playing back, you have captions. There's brands, and there's a handful of things here, other things here, but one thing to stress is that this is a reference application of how you can visualize all of this. It is not using every bit of data that's there. So I just clicked on the curly braces icon, and just to show you, the results that you get from video indexer processing is a huge JSON document that just contains essentially everything that supports building either this website or some other type of integration on. And there we go. And so you can imagine how you can integrate that with other data in other scenarios. So again, the means to integrate is this JSON data. So there's a section in the JSON data you get back for faces, sentiments, objects, basically everything that we saw and more, because there's quite a few things that weren't represented on that screen. So what would an integration look like? You could either use that website to curate some content if you had a low volume content. It's not a full-fledged video content management system, but it allows you to process the content, curate the content. Even though speech to text is getting really good, it's even surpassed human capability about a year and a half ago. It's still not 100%. So for some high-value content where you need it to be perfect, you can use that website to curate it. So you go in, it's processed, you edit it, and you clean it up. But ultimately, you might have another scenario where you want to integrate this data with other data you have, perhaps information about the people who made the content, synopsis, links to trailers, what have you. You can use Video Indexer once you upload to extract, curate, and publish, and you take those results, combine it with your own data or other data, and then integrate that into your app. So you could have a fully custom app where you're searching across that data. You could have a sort of hybrid app where you're using the UI widgets from Video Indexer to sort of give you an easier to build interface, or much more complex scenarios. So I'm going to skip over a couple slides here because I'm just about out of time. One example of where this is really useful, there's a company called the Endemol Shine Group. You might not have heard of them, but you've probably heard of the reality TV show Big Brother. Essentially what they were trying to solve is the fact that when you are producing a reality TV show, you're capturing just an enormous volume of content to produce a single episode. I've heard in some cases it could be 2,000 hours of content for 1 hour of a TV, 1 hour of produced content. So they built an orchestration pipeline where all of their video content, as it's being produced, is being run through Video Indexer. It's being searched and put into a search index, and their editors are searching for interesting things, like they're looking for things that people said, they're looking for two people being together in a room, all different things. Then they see proxies of this content, and when they want to edit that, they have time codes to their mezzanine content. They pull that into their Avid system, and they're editing an episode without having dozens of staff watching 1,000 or 2,000 hours a day of content to highlight what is good. That has basically just streamlined their entire production process and cut out a ton of time. I talked a bit about the use case of UFA. They're a German TV production company. They have a huge archive of content stretching back decades, but most of that content is stale. When you make it searchable across all these growing dimensions and also relatable and recommendable, you can now monetize content that previously was very hard to monetize. So I'm at time here. Let me jump to this slide, so please evaluate. And that's it. So as soon as I get the mic off, I'll stick around for a little bit if there's any questions. So thank you very much.